The Young and the Restless spoilers for Wednesday, February 5, reveal that Victor Newman will share some bonding time with Victoria Newman as he continues to recover from his injury. That'll give Victor a chance to confide in Victoria, so it'll be interesting to hear what he has to say. Will Victor confess how scared he was for his family during that close call with Ian Ward? Could this involve the future of Newman Enterprises now that Victor's had a wake-up call about his mortality? Whatever the case, Victor will have an important discussion with Victoria, while Jack Abbott has one of his own with Billy Abbott. Some alarm bells will start going off for Jack, presumably over the news that Billy wants to hire Phyllis Summers. Jack will respond by delivering some words of caution to Billy, so he may warn that Phyllis is only going to cause problems. Will Jack consider withholding his funding if Phyllis is part of Billy's team? Regardless, Jack's going to give Billy a serious warning and will definitely try to get his brother's attention. Other Rye and R spoilers say Diane Jenkins Abbott will hang out with Kyle Abbott and Claire Newman at the Abbott mansion. Diane may express how glad she is that everyone at the ranch survived all the Ian and Jordan turmoil. On Wednesday's episode, Diane will also make a huge choice that's surely going to affect her future. We'll see Diane reach a turning point, but will this involve business or her personal life? It's possible this will be related to Jabot Classics and Diane's vision for the company, but it's also possible this decision could affect Kyle and Claire's relationship. Diane has been concerned about Victor's threat to the happy couple, so she might resolve to fight back against Victor and protect her son's bliss no matter what. Then again, Diane might decide Claire and Kyle's romance is only going to end in heartbreak with Victor working against them. That realization could leave Diane tempted to move Kyle and Claire's breakup along before they go any deeper. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Diane will make some predictions and settle on a new path in Wednesday's show, so we'll pass along updates on what she does next. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching, so let's dive into today's video. The Young and the Restless spoilers, Shattered Innocence and the Battle for Truth, a Genoa City chronicle. In the turbulent heart of Genoa City, where secrets fester and allegiances are as transient as the morning mist, a new scandal has erupted. A scandal that threatens to upend long-held beliefs and shatter a fragile equilibrium among its inhabitants. The latest twist in an already convoluted saga centers on Sharon, a woman whose name has become synonymous with betrayal and the bitter fallout that ensues when the truth is finally set free. The vindication that unleashed fury. It all began when authorities, after months of relentless investigation, finally exonerated Sharon of a crime that had haunted her every waking moment, the murder of Heather. A case that had long been a thorn in the side of those who sought justice for the innocent. For years, Sharon had been condemned, her face etched into the collective memory as that of a cold-blooded killer. But now, in a turn of events that left many in a state of disbelief, the verdict declared her innocent. The courtroom buzzed with whispers and incredulous stares as the news broke. Among those most incensed was Phyllis, whose fury knew no bounds. To Phyllis, Sharon's exoneration was not merely a miscarriage of justice. It was an affront to the memory of Heather, a victim who had suffered in silence. Phyllis's anger was palpable. In her eyes, Sharon had evaded the consequences of her actions. How could the system allow someone so dangerous to be cleared, especially when the evidence pointed in another direction? It was a decision that defied logic and left a trail of disillusionment in its wake. Heather's tragic tale, a victim unwittingly ensnared. The tragedy of Heather's death was compounded by the mystery that still shrouded it. For those who truly knew the depth of Heather's despair, the circumstances of her demise were heart-wrenching. It was widely believed that Sharon, driven by malevolent intent, had broken into Daniel's house, a dark act that spiraled into violence and ultimately claimed Heather's life. Had Sharon not intruded with such sinister motives, Heather might still be alive, free from the shadow of a violent end she never saw coming. Heather, in her innocence, was an unwitting casualty, a victim ensnared in a web of deceit and ill intent. The tragedy of her death resonated deeply with many, igniting a fervor among those who had once championed justice on her behalf. Phyllis and Daniel, both of whom had their own reasons for despising Sharon, found their resolve hardened by the injustice done to Heather. They believed that Sharon's actions were unforgivable and that true retribution was long overdue. Their collective outrage became a rallying cry, one that sought not only to condemn Sharon, but to ensure that those responsible for the miscarriage of justice were brought to account. A confession that turned the tide. As if the chaos surrounding Sharon's exoneration weren't enough, the revelation that followed sent shockwaves through Genoa City. In an unexpected twist, both Ian Ward and Jordan, two figures whose names had been entangled with the mystery of Heather's death, stepped forward to confess their involvement. They admitted, one after the other, that they had been the true perpetrators behind Heather's murder. This startling confession, made under the weight of mounting evidence and personal guilt, shifted the entire narrative. Suddenly, the once unassailable notion of Sharon's guilt was thrown into disarray, leaving behind only the bitter taste of betrayal and the cry of justice unfulfilled. For many, the confession was too little, too late. The courtroom once again became a stage for bitter confrontations and moral outrage. Phyllis and Daniel, who had never truly forgiven Sharon, now found themselves facing the disturbing reality that justice had been perverted, not by one individual, but by a tangled web of deceit and manipulation. The confession vindicated Sharon in the eyes of the law, but it did little to assuage the deep-seated revulsion felt by those who believed that Heather's death should have never been allowed to fade into obscurity. The unyielding voice of discontent. In the aftermath of these revelations, the atmosphere in Genoa City grew even more charged. Phyllis's fury was not an isolated sentiment. It resonated with others who had long harbored a sense of injustice over the handling of Heather's case. The fact that Sharon was now legally declared innocent felt like a slap in the face to every memory of Heather's suffering. For those who had once rallied behind the call for true accountability, this development was intolerable, a reminder that in the battle for truth, even the most damning evidence could be overturned by shifting allegiances and ulterior motives. Phyllis and Daniel, bound by their shared sense of loss and betrayal, refused to let Sharon's exoneration be the end of the story. They vowed to continue their pursuit of justice, determined to expose every hidden layer of deceit that had led to this travesty. In their eyes, Sharon's clearance was not a victory, it was a calamity, a prelude to the further erosion of the values they held dear. They argued that true justice would only be served if those who had taken Heather's life paid the ultimate price, regardless of the courtroom's pronouncements. A beacon of hope amidst the chaos. While the drama surrounding Sharon, Heather, Phyllis, Daniel, Ian Ward, and Jordan ignited passions and deepened wounds, not all was lost in the storm of betrayal and retribution. In a quieter corner of Genoa City, another narrative unfolded. A story of love, resilience, and the promise of new beginnings. Chloe, a steadfast friend and confidant, found solace in the blossoming romance between Sally and Billy. She had long witnessed the tumultuous paths that both Sally and Billy had traversed. Each had endured heartbreak, the scars of past loves, and the bitter aftermath of betrayal. Their journeys had been fraught with pain, leaving them wary of opening their hearts to love once more. Yet, against all odds, a fragile but genuine connection had begun to bloom between them. For Chloe, this was a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in a city as scared and conflicted as Genoa City, love could still find a way to heal and transform. Her joy was unbridled as she watched Sally and Billy take tentative steps toward a future together. She knew the price they had paid for love, the sacrifices made in the name of passion, and the wounds that time had yet to fully heal. But she also knew that every victory in love required strength, a strength that Sally and Billy were slowly but surely cultivating. Their relationship, though tender and nascent, was a testament to the human spirit's capacity to overcome despair. Chloe encouraged them to hold fast to their newfound happiness, to nurture it with the same fierce determination they had once applied to surviving their darkest days. The call to endure. In the grand tapestry of Genoa City, where every thread of love and hate was interwoven with ambition and regret, two stories emerged as testaments to the city's dual nature. On one side, the legacy of Heather's tragic death and Sharon's subsequent vindication served as a stark reminder of how fragile justice could be when manipulated by power and deceit. On the other, the budding romance between Sally and Billy, under Chloe's watchful and hopeful gaze, offered a glimpse of redemption, a belief that love, when nurtured by strength and perseverance, could triumph over even the most formidable obstacles. The Young and the Restless recap for Tuesday, February 4 reveals that Holden will read info from Nate Hastings' background check and point out that Damian King's mother used to work for Nate's father. Damian will assume that has to be the connection, but he'll push Holden to keep posing as him and learn more. Holden will worry about the whole charade blowing up if Amy Lewis catches him pretending to be Damian, but Damian will urge him to stay out of her sight. At Nate's apartment, Amy will fret over how Damian reacted during his latest meeting with Nate. Nate and Audra Charles will suggest Damian just needs time to come around, but Amy will fear she doesn't have that kind of time due to her illness. However, Nate will make a prediction about Damian doing a background check on him and ultimately getting back in touch. Soon after, Holden will indeed get Nate on the phone and pose as Damian again, so Nate will be glad to get the call. At Crimson Lights, Phyllis Summers will cross paths with Sharon Newman, so they'll address the fact that Ian Ward confessed to eliminating Heather Stevens. Sharon will also remind Phyllis that Jordan was the one who ran her off the road, so Phyllis will acknowledge that all that's true. Even so, Phyllis will make it clear that she's never going to forgive Sharon for her role in everything that happened. Although Sharon will take responsibility for framing Daniel Romalotti, she'll point out that she was out of her mind on PCP and dealing with Cameron Kirsten hallucinations. Sharon will note that the reason Phyllis is still sitting there is because she was able to fight Cameron's orders to get rid of her. Phyllis will scoff over Sharon acting like she should be grateful for that. When Nick Newman walks in on the tense discussion, he'll try to put the blame on Ian, since he came back to target Sharon and Mariah Copeland. Phyllis will insist it really is Sharon's fault since Heather was collateral damage. Nick will give Phyllis a nudge to let this go, but Phyllis will suggest she was just clarifying where she stood with Sharon and will ultimately saunter off. Once Phyllis is gone, Sharon will talk about the psychological toll of everything and will thank Nick for all the support he's given her. Sharon won't know what she would have done without Nick, so she'll give him a grateful hug. At Billy Abbott's place on Tuesday's I and R episode, he'll bring home all Sally Spectra's favorite takeout items. As they enjoy lunch, Billy will mention that he's close to getting Phyllis and Daniel on board with his business venture. That news will concern Sally since both Phyllis and Billy are powder kegs, and when you put two of those together, they can only go kaboom. Billy will defend Phyllis a bit and act like they're kindred spirits, but Sally will remain uneasy. Since working with Phyllis is like swimming with sharks, Sally will warn Billy to be careful. Phyllis will eventually interrupt with her arrival, so she'll help herself to lunch and sour the mood a bit. Billy will try to get to the bottom of why Phyllis is there before Sally takes off. Once Phyllis is alone with Billy, she'll comment on Sally's interior decorating decisions and act surprised over them being that far along in their relationship. Billy will end up giving Phyllis a reminder about needing to respect his personal boundaries. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Phyllis could remain an issue as Billy and Sally's romance moves along, so we'll bring you updates on any chaos ahead. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Tuesday, February 4 promise some interesting bombshells in Genoa City. A character needs help with closure, while another pushes her nemesis buttons, and someone is hiding a major secret. What's set to unravel during Tuesday's show? Time to find out. The Young and the Restless spoilers. Sharon Newman needs help with closure. Sharon Newman will need help with closure in the aftermath of Ian Ward and Jordan's scheme. So who will be by her side to help her with this during the Tuesday, February 4 show? Well, her ex-hubby, Nick Newman, of course. Makes sense as he's been with Sharon and believed in her every step of the way in all this. But will these two mix a little romance with cathartic closure? Fans will have to tune in to find out. Y and R spoilers. Sally Spectra pushes buttons. Across town, Sally Spectra will push Phyllis Summers' button, which may not be a good idea, considering how Red could bite back. Phyllis doesn't exactly love the idea of Billy Abbott dating Sally. However, she also doesn't exactly have a say in who her ex-boyfriend and new business partner dates, right? Still, as Billy and Phyllis continue to work closely together, could the two feel renewed sparks? Will Sally regret pushing Phyllis buttons? The Young and the Restless spoilers. Damian King keeps a secret. Lastly, Damian King will keep a secret from Nate Hastings during Tuesday's show. As fans know, the Damian Nate recently met isn't really his half-brother, but rather just a friend/ally/employee of Damian's named Holden. The real Damian has asked Holden to pose as him, so he can find out why Nate has summoned him. My and our viewers found this out during the Monday, February 3 episode, and also saw the real Damian's hesitancy to meet with his mom, Amy Lewis. What is Damian's story, and why doesn't he want to see his Amy? Fans will have to tune in to find out. Are you excited about Tuesday's show? Share your thoughts below. Don't forget to tune into the Y and R on CBS Daily to catch all the drama, and check out SOS regularly for the best Young and the Restless news, spoilers, and updates. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that Sharon Newman could become a frame-up victim if Phyllis Summers decides she just can't rest until her rival's in prison. Phyllis is clearly furious over Sharon getting off scot-free when she set Daniel Romalotti juror up and made him look guilty of eliminating Heather Stevens himself. Of course, Sharon also dumped Heather's body, so Phyllis is holding that against her too. It's easy to see that Phyllis isn't giving Sharon a pass just because her meds were laced with PCP. Although Phyllis told Daniel and Summer Newman that she would let this go, that doesn't mean she actually will. In the February 4 episode, Phyllis warned Sharon that she'd never, ever forgive her. Since Phyllis is obviously going to be struggling with rage and resentment until the end of time, that could drive her down a risky road. Could Phyllis eventually give Sharon a taste of her own medicine? Sharon framed Daniel for a crime he didn't commit, so perhaps Phyllis will decide Sharon should get framed for something next. Since Sharon got away with setting up Daniel, Phyllis may determine that she needs to fabricate evidence of a different criminal activity and try to get Sharon locked up. I and our fans know it wouldn't be the first time Phyllis has done something like this. It hasn't been that long since Phyllis faked her own demise and framed Diane Jenkins Abbott for it, so it's not a stretch to she'd target Sharon in a similar way. Phyllis is someone who definitely has a vengeful streak, so Sharon may want to watch her back moving forward. If Phyllis realizes she can't let this go after all, she could make some updates to her plans and ultimately inflict some misery on Sharon. Do you think Phyllis will be able to live with Sharon's exoneration? Will Phyllis' lingering desire for revenge be a problem? The Young and the Restless spoilers say bad news could be brewing for Sharon depending on what Phyllis does next, so stick with us for more predictions on Sharon's future. Have you recovered yet from the Young and the Restless reveal on Monday, February 3? We sure haven't, and neither has seen Dominic, who had no clue his storyline was about to take such an explosive twist. Nate's search for his long-lost brother suddenly became a tale of two Damians. The fake Damian that Nate has been talking to is actually Holden, which we learned as newcomer Jermaine Rivers stepped out of the shadows as the real Damian. Dominic and Rivers sat down with Soaps.com ahead of the reveal, and both still seemed to be reeling from the news. Dominic admitted to us that he was shocked when Nate's family journey went in a direction he never expected. I was like, oh, that's what we're doing. Completely in the dark for a week or two, and then we found out, oh, there's a foot to this, he explained. Knowing how savvy the young and the restless audience is, Dominic tipped his hat to the writers for their creativity. I don't think the fans would see this coming a mile away, he praised. There's a lot of things that happen in soaps that fans can see coming. This one, no, I don't think so. It's shocking. Rivers also believes the diversion worked because it was an easy sell to think Nate and the fake Damian were related. Visually, Dominic and Owens, above, looked like they could be brothers, he said. So it's an easy sell, I think, for the fans to look at him like, oh, that makes sense. While it might have been not difficult for the viewers to get tricked by the Damian swap-a-roo, Rivers had to lock down his own casting secret for the young and the restless, which is no easy feat in the daytime spoiler landscape. Just knowing what the end goal was, keeping everything under wraps, not posting anything, not doing anything that the passionate fans could grab onto, not following him on social media, Rivers divulged. Just keeping it really tight-lipped and making sure that it stayed that way until it was released on the 3rd. Now that the cat's out of the bag, will he give Dominic a follow on Instagram? The young and the restless spoilers hint at some massive February sweeps plot twists this month, and the soap started off with a bang in this regard when it comes to the Damian King storyline. It turns out that the Damian King Y&R fans and Nate Hastings first met is an imposter. Viewers were completely caught off guard during the Monday, February 3 episode when actor Jermaine Rivers came out from the shadows as the real Damian King. Of course, the man currently parading around as Damian is named Holden, and it looks like he's doing his boss/friend a favor. The real Damian likely saw red flags when Nate reached out to him and offered him a job at Winters, and for whatever reason, sent Holden in to pretend to be him to see what Nate was up to. While Nate has good intentions, lying to his half-brother was not the way to go. Regardless, Damian is shrouded in mystery and also seems vehemently against seeing his mother, Amy Lewis, which has fans raising an eyebrow about this character. Without knowing too much about Damian, he does seem like he could be a bit of a schemer or villain. However, only time will tell. With that said, there has been a buzz that Damian was supposed to be a new love interest for Lily Winters. Still, the real Damian doesn't seem to be Lily's type. However, Imposter Damian is right up Lily's romance alley. Relationships tend to be complicated in the land of Genoa City, and falling in love can create messy situations. There's nothing stickier than meeting someone you like under false pretenses, right? Could Holden meet Lily as Damian, only for the two to share sparks? Could they go as far as falling in love? Lily, learning that Holden wasn't who he said he was, could create some major obstacles between the two. Especially since the last thing that Lily wants is to get involved with another liar. She had her fair share of drama and lies during her relationship with Kane Ashby. Holden does seem like a decent guy who is likely just following his boss's orders. Then again, maybe he and Damian are partners, looking to protect their investment from a potential outside threat in Nate. Regardless, pretending to be someone else isn't the best way to start a new romance, and after meeting Lily and getting to know her, Holden may start to feel really guilty about what he's doing. If he does, it's clear that Damian will put his foot down and remind him he needs to continue with this until they get to the bottom of things. The Young and the Restless spoilers remind fans that no solid soap opera super couple gets to their happily ever after without some massive obstacles in their way. So perhaps Holden and Lily's first issue will be getting over the hump of him being a fraud when they first met. But there are a few holes in this story, and that isn't sitting right with fans who are fiercely debating the plot on social media. Here's why and how Jordan could have escaped the Grim Reaper. Is Jordan Howard really dead? Let's start with the fact that Jordan's accomplice Ian Ward is not really dead. These two were a pair of sneaky thieves and their connection is gold. Why would the show write them off? In the January 30th episode, fans saw Ian flutter open his eyes after being declared dead. As a doornail, it happened while he was being transported in the ambulance and he was all alone. Jordan was declared dead at the TAC house, but we haven't seen her since then. Where is the body? It could be anywhere. This is so planned. Apparently, the body was on the way to the morgue, same as Ian's. We think you can take this soap-alicious plot from here. Jordan Howard and Ian Ward not done yet. Second, we have to take Claire Newman's word that she put a whole bottle of sleeping pills in Jordan's tea. Did any of you see that happen? If Claire is correct, then Jordan's stomach can be pumped. Or Claire could have given her some kind of antidote when no one was looking. Is Claire Grace pulling a fast one? Then again, who's to say that Claire is lying and either didn't put the pills in the tea or put some of Jordan's leftover poison in there, which Jordan would have an antidote for? None of this conjecture is out of line in a genre that routinely brings characters back from the dead. We're looking at you, Diane Abbott. What happens next on the CBS soap? There are too many character-related issues for Claire to have poisoned Jordan. For starters, how would she be redeemed? Claire also moaned about Jordan and Ian killing people as sinful, but then she turns around and does the same thing. She clasped her aunt's hand as she lay dying, and we think there is definitely more to this story. Tell us what you think. Be sure to catch up on everything happening with Y and R right now. Come back here often for the Young and the Restless spoilers, news, and updates, and make us your favorite hotspot. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that the week rolls on hot and heavy in snowy Genoa City, Wisconsin. We have some shtick news for the Tuesday, February 4 episode that will warm fans' hearts. After her ordeal in the sewer, Nick Newman takes time to check in on Sharon Newman. Sharon was targeted by Jordan and Ian Ward, two baddies presumed dead. Can Sharon heal? Sharon is in need of a reset, and that is exactly what Nick provides. Spoilers tease that Nick helps Sharon start a new journey as February kicks off, and in our eyes these two can do no wrong. Sharon is grateful for Nick's support, and the co-parents enjoy a special moment. My and our fans, are you shipping chic? They have been through heaven and hell, and as they mature they seem even more destined to be together. Will Sharon and Nick grow closer? Elsewhere, Nate Hastings is happy to learn that Damian wants to reconnect. Will Damian apologize for the way he left their LA meeting? It's time for Nate to come clean and tell Damian the truth. They are brothers and his mother is dying. Will Nate tell the truth? Damian is Nate's half-brother, and that his dying mom Amy Lewis orchestrated the meetup. How will Damian react to being duped? Will Holden give the real Damian the news that Amy is dying of leukemia? Explosive show spoilers tease that the more time Nate spends with Damian, the more leery he becomes. Sally and Phyllis go at it. Meanwhile, Sally Spectra provokes Phyllis Summers. Meow. Phyllis wants to partner with Billy Abbott in business and has no need for Sally hanging around. Can Billy possibly keep these divas from brawling? Forthright Phyllis thinks that Sally is not suitable for Billy, and she should know since Billy cheated on her with her daughter Summer Newman. The Young and the Restless stars Amelia Heinle and Thad Luckenbill were a soap opera star couple until they decided to pull the plug on their marriage. Here's a few things you need to know about their tragic divorce. The tragic divorce of the young and the restless star Amelia Heinle. Back in 2017, it was announced that Amelia and Thad had filed for divorce. The soap world was definitively left shocked, mostly because the two actors were also sharing a lot of airtime on the show too. The ex-couple originally met in 1999 on the set of the hit CBS soap. They got married in 2007 and have 2 children. In his divorce papers, Thad asked for joint custody and also asked the court to reserve for future determination the issue of spousal support. Amelia and Thad certainly did go through a lot together. When Thad decided not to renew his contract with the Young and the Restless back in 2010, the actress was certainly supportive. She said at the time, "It's a blessing in disguise. He's never been in this position before, is going to grow as a person and as an actor. I hope he gets a cop show." Michael Fairman. He's done guest roles on Primetime because he was working on Y&R now, that he has nothing holding him back. You just wait. He's going to succeed even more. I know it. He's going to be so happy that this has happened. The Young and the Restless star Amelia Heinle's troubled past. That said though, when Thad came back to The Young and the Restless in 2018 to reprise his role as JT, he said he only did it for his ex-wife. He knew there was still plenty of chemistry between them on screen, even though they were divorced off-screen. He told Soap Opera Digest, "That was part of the reason I came back too. I talked to Amelia quite a bit about it, and I knew that this would be good, and it would be fun to play. She's really such a great actress. Although she's won 2 Emmys, she's a completely underrated actress. She's so honest with her material, and she never pushes it. It's always very true and honest, and I think that's just something to be absolutely valued in daytime." In the meantime, drop us a line with your thoughts in our comments section below. Also, don't forget to come back right here for all the latest news and updates on your favorite celebrities, along with the latest spoilers from The Bold and the Beautiful, The Young and the Restless, General Hospital, and Days of Our Lives. If you're a young and restless viewer who's feeling a little confused right now, that's understandable. After all, the soap just ripped the rug right out from under us. How? By revealing that Nathan Owens, whom we believe to be playing the role of Nate's secret sibling Damian, is actually playing some guy named Holden, who's working for the real Damian. Despite casting secrets being darn near impossible to keep under wraps these days, the folks at Young and Restless managed to keep this shocking switcheroo under wraps. But in the episode airing on Monday, February 3, the man we believe to be Damian took a meeting with the man who was revealed to be the real deal. And just like that, we discovered that Nate isn't the only member of his family capable of playing games. Despite the fact that viewers now know Jermaine Rivers is playing the real Damian, it appears that will be kept from Nate at least a little bit longer. Because while Amy asked Nate to find and contact the son she hasn't seen in years, it appears Damian isn't particularly keen on reconnecting with his relatives, at least not yet. Meanwhile, Sean Dominic says that although he auditioned with several actors, he sensed that Rivers would land the role. "It just felt right," he said during our exclusive interview with the two, which can be seen below. Although this is Rivers' first role in daytime, he's likely a familiar face to many soap viewers. After all, he's done gigs on several primetime soaps and procedurals ranging from Law and Order, SVU, to a recent appearance on the hit NBC series Found. Audra arrives at Nate's penthouse and hands him his vanilla latte with oat milk. She picked up the same for Damian. She'd heard that siblings who grew up separately often like the same things. Hastings reminds her that he's only his half-brother. Damian arrives at the door. He's surprised to see Audra and assumes she also works at Winters. They tip him off that she and Nate have a purely personal relationship. When they offer him the latte, Damian turns it down, explaining he prefers tea. Giving Nate a kiss, Audra leaves the men to talk. Once alone, Nate admits to Damian that he hasn't been upfront about why he went to LA to offer him a position. That's no surprise to Damian, who guesses there's no job. Nate explains that Amy asked him to track him down because she has something important to tell him. It's not his place to say what it is. Damian asks what his part is in this. Nate can't explain but repeats he needs to see Amy and hear her out. Why am I sensing urgency here? Damian asks. Hastings can understand that family is hard and it can feel better to walk away, but assures him he won't regret talking to Amy. The only thing I regret is you wasting my time, Damian declares, storming out. Audra and Amy sit at crimson lights. Since Amy is a bag of nerves, Audra tries to get her mind off what's happening in Nate's penthouse. When Amy asks about her family, Audra claims there's not much to tell and takes a gulp of coffee. Amy guesses that they hurt her and urges her to open up. I have been keeping a lot inside, Audra admits. She's started to think it could be good to open up to someone. Amy wants to be that someone. Slowly, Audra explains that her father drank. That shut her mom down and made her distant when she needed her. The only way she could get her attention was by fighting with her. Amy can understand that. Children need love, but it's not always easy to give when life has broken you. You remind me so much of him, Amy says. Damian was tough, strong, and scared too. Audra claims she's not afraid of anything. That gives Amy a chuckle. She's sure she's afraid of letting people in because when they see who she really is, they won't like her. Amy can see that Nate has cracked her armor, and she's allowed him in. She's sure that Audra deserves lots of love. She survived her childhood and became an amazing woman. Audra left young and became self-reliant, traveling around Europe making art and running companies. She's proud of herself and lucky to have Nate in her life. Amy hopes that Damian will feel the same way when he learns he's Nate's half-brother. Daniel rushes into society to meet with Summer and Phyllis. He tells them he feels like he's been going crazy and announces that Sharon has been completely exonerated. That gets a gasp out of his mother. Summer looks worried. Her mother declares that the only way Sharon will get away with this is over her dead body. As she leaps up, her son stops her and explains that Sharon didn't kill Heather. Michael told him that Ian Ward confessed after a struggle with Victor that left him shot. Phyllis is shocked. Summer backs it up, explaining that she saw her grandfather at the hospital. This confession seems too convenient to Phyllis. It sounds like a ploy of Michael's. Her son doubts that, but Phyllis is sure that Michael only cares about winning in court. Phyllis isn't impressed to learn that the only people who heard Ward confess were Sharon's enablers. Even if Ian murdered Heather, Sharon still framed Daniel. He knows, but the DA made it clear they won't be pursuing any charges. He's not sure how to feel about it. Maybe Sharon has suffered enough, he suggests. This sets his mom off, but Daniel thinks it's time for them to move on. He feels he will have to start the grieving process all over again. Summer says this will never make sense, and they need to stop putting their energy into blame and put it into being there for her brother. After shaking her head, Phyllis says she will let it go for her son, but she can't believe Sharon is getting away with framing him. She's looking forward to their future and growing a business. That's definitely something Daniel can get on board with. All they need is a plan and funding. Billy swans in and announces he has both of those things. Daniel has already heard his pitch, but Billy wants to give it again. Summer takes this as a cue to leave and quickly departs as Billy plops down and stops Daniel from rejecting him again. He explains that he's no longer gunning for Victor or out to get Chancellor back. The people he cares about told him that was the wrong path and he's trusting them. Phyllis and Daniel perk up at that. Billy tells Phyllis and Daniel he has funding and would love them to join him. This sounds too good to be true to Daniel, but his mom is sure they can conquer the universe. Billy announces they will be starting an epic media empire. That sounds great to Phyllis, but her son points out they would be in competition with Newman Media. Billy swears this is not the same old battle cry, but about building something to be proud of, and he needs their talent and energy. Enthusiastic, Phyllis says she's in, even if she has some questions. Daniel asks where the funding is coming from, and Billy explains it's Jack, who has every confidence in him. Phyllis loves his confidence, but Daniel feels they will need time to discuss this. Telling them they can build something real and powerful, Billy exits. Daniel admits that Billy has some good ideas, but he's also Billy and everything he touches seems destined to fail. Shimmer Moore addresses haters. As Jack walks through the dining room of the Abbott manse, he notices Kyle staring into space. He wonders if things are tense at work. His son explains this isn't about business. Claire informed him that Jordan escaped prison and was working with Ian Ward. Jordan ended up poisoning herself, and Victor ended up taking a bullet for Nikki when Ward tried to execute the family. Victor's family escorts him into the ranch and fusses over him as they settle him into a chair. He tells them to stop hovering like he's an invalid. They remind him he was shot, and Nikki insists they will dote on him and he will let them. "I guess we dodged a bullet, didn't we?" Victor jokes. Nick points out it wasn't dodged. Getting serious, his father asks if the Ward situation has been handled so it won't come back to bite them. Nick and Adam explain that they handled Chance. They told the cop they heard Ian confess to everything. It's not like he or Jordan are around to contradict it. Nikki worries that falsifying a confession could cause problems down the road, but they are sure that this, combined with what Sharon recalled under hypnosis, closes the issue. Nick thinks that everyone needs closure and to move on. They'll stick to the story. Case closed. Lyndon Ashby teases return, but not as Cameron. Victor says they're lucky that things went their way. He's proud of how they handled it. The siblings start ribbing each other until there's a knock. It's Jack. He's relieved to see that Nikki is okay. "What the hell are you doing here?" Victor demands. Jack explains that he heard about their terrible ordeal and wanted to check on everyone. Nick assures him they are all fine and now the healing can begin. The Abbott asks about Jordan's escape, and Victoria says they are just grateful she's dead. She's also grateful that Kyle has been so supportive of Claire. When Jack hopes Victor isn't in too much pain, the Newman doubts he gives a damn. He's sure that Jack only came to see his wife. Jack claims he wanted to see everyone. Nikki assures him that all has been taken care of and they have peace. "Go home and worry about your own nonsense," Victor says to Jack. As the Abbott is about to exit, Victor adds, "Tell your son to stay away from my granddaughter." Squinting, Jack asks where that's coming from. They're adults with deep feelings and they can't change that. "I'll do whatever the hell I want to do," says Victor. Once Jack is gone, Victoria asks her dad why he has such an issue with Kyle and Claire. "Because I don't like it," he barks. His daughter accuses him of taking on Jordan's role of determining who Claire can see. When Victor reminds her of Kyle's history with women, Nick takes this as his cue to leave. The kids all get up and tell their father they love him. He apologizes for being in a bad mood, but he's in a lot of pain. Why and Our Heartthrob performs theme song. Once the children have exited, Nikki tells her husband she can't believe he's still opposed to Kyle and Claire being together. After a frustrated sigh, he explains that he can't stand having people he hates around his family. Can't stand the Abbotts. "Eventually, I'm going to make sure Claire feels the same way," he says. Changing the subject, he tells her how happy he is that nothing happened to her. He doesn't know what he would do without her. "You'll never have to find out," she says, kissing him. Back at the Abbott manse, Diane and Kyle discuss the ordeal at the ranch. He remembers the strange woman that Claire encountered at society. He's in awe of how brave Claire is. He always knew she was resilient, but this is next level. From his face, Diane can tell he's become much closer to Claire. Kyle admits that he's been surprised by how much he cares about Claire. His mom thinks he's falling for the Newman, and that makes her worry that trouble could be ahead. She assures him that she trusts Claire. It's her grandfather she doesn't trust. Kyle knows Claire loves her grandfather, but he has nothing to do with their relationship. He couldn't care less about Victor's feelings. Diane suggests he should because the Newman may do all in his power to keep them apart. Let him try, says Kyle. Jack arrives at home as his son exits. He tells his wife that he went to check on Nikki after hearing about the shooting. She fills him in on her warning to their son about Victor. Jack says her timing was perfect because Victor has made it clear he plans to get between Kyle and Claire. He almost told their son about it just now, but thought that could make things worse. He's planning to make sure that Victor doesn't come after their son again. Nate joins Amy and Audra at Crimson Lights. He explains his encounter with Damian was strange. He didn't get to say much after admitting that he'd contacted him on Amy's behalf. It doesn't seem like he's open to seeing his mother. That disappoints her. He adds there seems to be something big they are missing. Nate didn't tell him about Amy's condition or that he's his brother and doubts he'll get the chance. Amy fears her son will disappear and she'll never see him again. In Chancellor Park, Damian meets with a man who asks how things went. Did this Nate Hastings tell you what it was really all about? The man asks. Amy wants to reconnect with you, Damian, says the man who has been pretending to be Damian, but is actually named Holden. Talking to Amy again is not something Damian can see happening. Holden asks what he's drinking and laughs when Damian explains it's an oat milk vanilla latte. Holden says Nate already knows what he likes to drink. Damian doesn't like anyone knowing more about him than he does about them, so he tells Holden he will have to keep pretending to be him until they can find out what kind of game is being played. The Young and the Restless spoilers and updates reveal hot romances are a must-have in soap operas, and fans can't wait for the next thrilling twists. 5 passionate love stories are set to ignite in Genoa City, so let's dive into the exciting developments on the horizon for our favorite characters. It's past time for Laylee Winters to find her true love. Longtime viewers know Laylee Winters has been through the mill on her search for true love. Get ready for a sizzling new chapter in her life. It seems romance is on the horizon for her, and it's linked to none other than Damian, Nathan Owens. But hold on, things might get a little tangled if it turns out that Damian isn't who he says he is. This unexpected twist could ramp up the drama and make their budding love affair even more captivating. Imagine Lily daring to follow her heart straight into the arms of the notorious bad boy. Could true love really be waiting there for her? Adam and Chelsea finally reunite. Get ready, because the excitement is building for the much-anticipated reunion of Adam Newman and Chelsea Lawson. The two have been reunited and broken apart several times in the couple's history, so it will be interesting to see if it will last this time. As Chelsea struggles to resist their undeniable connection, the tension between them is only destined to escalate. It's only a matter of time before Chelsea surrenders to the pull, setting the stage for some sizzling moments alongside Adam and the thrilling beginning of their family's next adventure. Billy and Sally's milestone. Billy Abbott and Sally Spectra are on the brink of a major transformation. Their upcoming adventure in Paris could be the catalyst that propels them to reevaluate their relationship. This trip might just spark a deeper commitment as they explore their future together and define what they truly desire from each other. Billy and Sally fought their attractions as long as they could, but finally they gave in to them. Conveniently, Adam and Chelsea reunite at the same time period-changing partners and do-si-do, anyone? Kyle and Claire's romance faces the Summer and Newman Abbott showdown. Kyle Abbott and Claire Newman may soon find their romance deepening, but don't let that fool you, trouble is brewing. Summer Newman is determined to rekindle her romance with Kyle, and this could lead to serious complications. The Newman-Abbott rivalry is poised to cast a shadow over Claire and Kyle's relationship, setting the stage for intense drama. Get ready for a thrilling ride as Y&R puts their relationship to the ultimate test, igniting this love story and revealing if it has what it takes to endure. A romantic future ahead for Sharon. Last but not least, Sharon Newman's romantic journey is heating up now that she's been exonerated. Will Y&R finally deliver on the long-awaited reunion between Sharon and Nick Newman, or will they take her story in a different direction? Sharon is set to spend some quality time with Daniel Romalotti Jr., aiming to mend their relationship and seek his forgiveness. This has sparked buzz about a potential twist in their dynamic, so stay tuned to see how it unfolds. The show has some exciting romantic developments on the horizon, so keep it locked here for all the latest predictions and major updates. The Young and the Restless spoilers hint that Holden may blackmail Audra Charles over her scandalous past and put some shocking secrets at risk. Let's consider some new clues that Nathan Owens offered in an interview with Soda. For starters, Owens drew attention to the fact that Holden is a single, charming guy with quite the interest in alcohol. The Y&R star also hinted that Holden is definitely worldly and cultured, but there is a bit of a mysterious darkness to this character that he's looking forward to tapping into even more. In other words, Holden is a sophisticated bad boy who likes booze a little too much and knows how to use his charisma to his advantage. There are good reasons to believe all of that's going to tie into a storyline relating to Audra soon enough. Holden was intrigued when he met Audra at Nate Hastings' apartment, but what if it wasn't the first time they'd crossed paths? Audra didn't seem to recognize Holden, but what if his curiosity about her stems from a glimmer of recognition on his end? At some point, Holden may realize he's indeed met Audra before or at least knew about her. Audra recently talked to Amy Lewis about her past, including her alcoholic father and her time in the art world. It makes sense to trigger some things for Audra by throwing this guy at her who potentially teeters on the edge of alcoholism himself. Owen's comment about Holden being worldly and cultured fits for someone who is involved in the art world as well, so that may be the connection here. Whatever the case, it sounds like Holden will eventually have a chance to show off his sinister side. That could force Audra into a tight spot, since 2025 preview info indicates Audra indeed has some secrets that she'd rather keep under wraps. What if Holden has dirt on Audra? Could Holden end up blackmailing Audra somewhere along the way? Even after the truth about the real Damian is exposed, Holden could find reasons to hang around Genoa City and make life difficult for Audra. It's possible Holden will pressure Audra to help him get the job Nate originally offered Damian despite it being a ruse. Holden might even force Audra to help him win Lily Winter's heart, since there have been some hints about them becoming a couple. Regardless, Owens hinted that Holden indeed has a history with a female character in GC, so that'll set the stage for more drama. Based on our predictions, Audra's going to face some disturbing news now that Holden's in town and on the verge of causing problems. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Audra has a real mess ahead of her, so stay tuned for updates on all the mayhem.